Hi everyone, Craig Wessels here from a Yank on the Footy, and while I've been uploading a lot of new episodes to the podcast lately, I have basically been uploading still imagery rather than any of the video footage that I've been shooting along with it because I'm not great at video editing. I'm working on it, but I'm not great at it yet. But I wanted to share with you the video from the episode that I recorded yesterday with my mate Myk Aussie from MykAussie.tv and from Edmonton Cricket TV, talking about the two prelim final games as well as a couple of other things that have been going on in the news with regards to footy. You can catch all of the introductory stuff, which I actually recorded separate from this, over at my website, yankonthefooty.com. But I love giving shout-outs to local footy clubs at the start of an episode. If you want to help out the podcast, you can certainly do that. You can follow me at Yank_on on Twitter. I have a Buy Me a Coffee page that is linked there as well. You can check out my Redbubble store page if you want to pick up a sticker. I have a really great one. If you're a Carlton supporter, you'll hate it. If you're a Brisbane supporter, it'll make you mad, but you'll want to have one. It's congratulating Lachie Neale on his second Brownlow medal. Actual results may vary. Yeah, so this was Myk Aussie and I last evening sitting down to discuss the prelims. I went on probably the biggest rant that I've gone on in the 340 plus episodes that I've done on the podcast. And I thought just having the audio here didn't do it justice. So I decided I would go ahead and put it out there on video, and we'll see how it goes. I may try to do this a little bit more in the future as my time opens up a little bit when my announcing gigs begin to slow down. So I do close out every episode telling you to check up on your friends, make sure they're okay. And if you want to help out the podcast, as I said, I am planning on making a trip to Australia next year. I've set aside a good chunk of money in order to do that. Worked a summer job all this year. I think I've got my flights paid for and a little bit of time there paid for. Had a lot of people that said, hey, if you come, you got a place to stay, and I'm going to take you to a game. I'm going to be taking them up on that here pretty soon, I hope. Can't wait till that fixture comes out. But I close out every episode telling you folks, may your dribble kick never hit the post. Now let's go ahead and jump into my chat with Myk. I hope you enjoy it. I really got fired up. And I'm probably going to make a few Magpies supporters a little angry. There you go.
Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to be joined by my mate, Myk Aussie, in Parts Unknown, to quote one of my favorite podcasts. Myk, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Down in a place called Sylvan Lake, which is about half an hour west of Red Deer, which is halfway between...
Is that between Edmonton and Calgary?
Elks and Stampede.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I've heard of Red Deer. I've not been up that way before, but I have heard of Red Deer. But getting a little vacation time in, which is great.
Yep, that's it, man.
Outstanding, outstanding. So we've got the prelims coming up this weekend, and I don't know. Did you get the chance to listen to my discussion with the gentleman from Major League Cricket yet?
No, I'm on holidays, mate. Got to spend the time with the girlfriend.
There you go. And yet, so now I don't know if she can hear me right now, if she's in the room, but I want to thank her for giving me the opportunity to talk to you while you were on holiday right now. So a big thumbs up there. So,
mate, I'm not that under the thumb, but I told her I'd be away for half an hour. So all good, mate. But no, wouldn't miss your show no matter what, bud.
Well, I appreciate that. So, it's been an interesting week of some really sad news, with the passing of Ron Barassi, and of course, we're heading into the prelims this weekend. But you've been following this game so much longer than I have. You have a much better take on what this gentleman meant to the game, and what did he mean to footy? What's going to be his legacy? Because a lot of people are talking about naming the Premiership Cup after him, which the NFL has the Lombardi Trophy. I don't know if the Grey Cup is named after somebody named Gray. I have no idea.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Well, Ron Barassi is an absolute legend, I'd say. In a couple of words, hardcore, old school, tough as nails that got incredible results. I
You kind of froze up there. You said he had, hard as nails,
Premiership
and results and things like that. You kind of froze up there for a second. So,
do you want to stop and go? I go to my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, let me. Okay, so Myk, very sad news coming out this week with the passing of Ron Barassi. You've been a fan for a lifetime. I've only been following for a few years. What is his legacy? What is, because people are talking about, naming the Premiership Cup after him, and one, is that a good idea? And what is the game going to remember about this gentleman? Because it seems like he just is an absolute legend, one of the legends of all time of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember him from a very young age when he would have coached North Melbourne Kangaroos to the 75 VFL Premiership, I believe. So I was young then. I would say he's a hardcore, old school, but very successful and very different to what happens these days, but absolute legend. And I've often mentioned Malcolm Blight, the star from Woodville, that then went and played for North Melbourne. He tells a lot of great Ron Barassi stories on Sports Day SA. But yeah, I remember him coaching them, and just a legend, along with him and Kevin Sheedy would probably be the two biggest legends in my lifetime in the VFL, AFL.
Okay. Now, what do you think about the, because some of the footage I saw him, I saw a video of him when he was on crutches, and he was moving across the ground, and I don't know the circumstances, but he was moving across the ground on crutches faster than I think I could walk. It was like, okay, he had something going on, something to tell somebody at that point in time. And I don't know the, that scenario, but there's got to be a fantastic story that was part of that.
Yeah, well, he played for Carlton and Melbourne. He coached North Melbourne. He coached Melbourne, I believe, as well. Then they sent him to Sydney because the AFL/VFL needed someone good to coach the Sydney Swans after a few years, and he started to get that team back on top, and then they went on after he built that team. So an absolute legend. But the stories of him just being so hardcore as a coach, but got the great results out of the players. And then Malcolm Blight took a lot of his ideas into his coaching. And Malcolm Blight admits that he was a bit too hardcore when he first started. And some of my Woodville mates sure do tell me some of the Blighty stories as well. So Ron Barassi, RIP, legend.
So do you think that that the cup should be named after him? Or is that too premature, or just leave it as a Premiership Cup, or
Oh, yeah. Look, you could name it after a few people, but he would be right up there in the probably top 5 that you could probably name it after. Absolutely.
Okay. And I saw some people, and again, I guess I don't know the answer to this question, because I know that the MCG is the Melbourne Cricket Ground. But during the course of a cricket season, during the course of a year, how much cricket is actually played at the MCG? And I'm not asking that to be a smartass. I honestly don't know the answer to that. Do you know how many? Do you know how many games?
Yeah. Well, you'd have the Victorian team would play their Sheffield Shield games there. Okay. Most of them, maybe not all of them these days. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they used to play all their games there. You have the Big Bash would play there, the Melbourne teams, and of course the Boxing Day Test is huge. It's played from Boxing Day onwards. Massive, massive crowds there. So yeah, fair bit, absolutely.
Okay, because I saw some people that were posting online that they should, maybe if they're not naming the cup after him, that they should consider naming one of the stands at the MCG, after him. And there were several people that were commenting, it's a cricket ground. It's a cricket ground. And I was just curious, yes, that's the name of it, but I didn't know if there was more cricket or more footy played on that surface. That's why I was wondering, because again, I don't know the answer to that.
Well, put it this way, the AFL pour a lot of money into the MCG, so they would have a lot of power over the Melbourne, the Victorian Cricket Association. Absolutely. Okay. But the MCG, the Melbourne Football Club, they have quite a few seats there as members. So that's why you saw last week the Melbourne game, there was 92,000 there, whereas some of the other games that are sellouts, it might be 88 because those Melbourne members might not go or might not give up their tickets. So that's why, even though it's a sellout, the crowd might fluctuate by 5,000 or so.
And that's too bad. I mean, there's got to be a way that if somebody has that ticket for that game because they're a member of something, if they're not going to use it, that they should be able to, that it should be able to get And I know that there's nefarious ways in terms of which tickets get distributed. I get that, but is there a way that those people then could give up those tickets if they decide not to go, or just some people saying, I'm not letting anybody else sit in my seat?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure, but I would guess that probably not. It would have to be a close friend or family, I would believe, because there's certain rules about dress code and the snotty elite Melbourne members. So there's a bit of that involved.
Okay. Yeah, I know I had Carolyn Cummins, who works for the Sydney paper, who I believe was the first female member of the Melbourne Cricket Club of that group, that organization at the stadium. She was I think she was the first female member. Her grandfather won a premiership with South Melbourne back in, I think, 1902, a few years ago. But the other neat thing is that with this weekend again, we've got we've got two of the top four sides playing finals here. Of course, Port Adelaide, which I know breaks your heart, went out in straight sets. I know you are. I know that you had to get out of town because you didn't want to see people. You didn't want people to see you crying in front of them because of that. So I understand why you had to get all the way out of town and get almost to Red Deer to save your manhood by getting away from everybody that knows you. Okay, well, so good on you there.
The Philip Hicks, the founder of Edmonton Cricket TV, that pays me good money to do the show, he's a mad Port Adelaide Power fan, so I raised him up a bit. But real quick, one more other legend died as well. Cowboy Neil played for St Kilda, tough player. But I remember him when he coached Central Districts in the SANFL League when I was in my teenage years. So there was another player that tough, good player for St Kilda. He died as well. So R.I.P. to Cowboy was his nickname, Cowboy Neil.
Yeah, he was 78, I believe, when he passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I didn't jot his name down. I remember seeing that, but I think, and unfortunately for him, somebody who, has as good of a legacy as he had with St. Kilda, that, that he kind of, he passed away kind of under the umbrella, if you will, of Ron Barassi's passing. So he may not have gotten the just recognition that he might have deserved. He certainly would have with St. Kilda supporters. Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah. So we just got to get everybody to listen then. But looking at the prelims this weekend, I'll tell you, it has been an absolute blast watching the social media. And I've posted online several times that I think that and this was even before the finals have happened, GWS's social media group, the Giants social media group, I think has to be the best, one of the best, if not the best, out of all 18 clubs, because they're hilarious. They have just the right amount of snarkiness, and they're having fun with it.
Yeah, I saw some of that last week. It was kind of out of character, but in a good way, because the AFL clubs are pretty conservative. They're pretty strict with the players and what they can do and who they can talk to. So, yeah, but I watched the first half of that. GWS Giants should have been up by 10 goal at halftime. They kicked like 5 points just before halftime. They absolutely destroyed Port Adelaide Power. And you and I were right, not only for tipping them as 8-point underdogs, but what we said last week in regards to their key players that were going in injured and underdone, and it proved correct.
Yeah.
Lysette, Marshall, McKenzie, and a couple others were underdone and did not play well. So big by Kenny Hinkley going in with that team. And also, like the other thing we said, like a lot of times games don't go the way you think, but both are factors as well in the fact that the bigger bodied on-ball players for the Giants destroyed the lighter Butters and Rosie I mean, they're great players, but you got to go in with good leg strength in that middle because the finals are tougher to get kicks.
Right,
I thought Boat played all right, but Butters and Rosie weren't seen in that first half, and the game was pretty much over, wasn't it?
Yeah, and do you looking at their physical makeup, and I know that they are still very young men. You played this game at a fairly good level. I'm not going to say a high level because you're going to correct me on that, but do they still have time to continue filling out and become stronger and less sinewy and become more muscular and become a somebody who's more like a Patrick Cripps in terms of just the bulk that they're carrying with them?
Oh, I don't think so. They'll fill out a little bit. But no, I played SANFL before the Crows came in. So it was probably 15% less than the VFL at the time. So I played against a lot of elite players.
Right.
But like I said, who would you rather in the middle in a hardcore final? Petrarca and Oliver or Rosie and Butters? I know who I would rather pick, and that's nothing against Rosie and Butters. You needed those other couple of big bodies in there as well. Francis is big body for his age, but he's only like 19. Travis Broke was strong on the leg. So I think they made a big blunder. I would have put Powell Pepper in there straight into the second quarter when they started to lose. Powell Pepper's a strong guy. You needed him in the middle, and they didn't do it. So I think bad coaching from Kenny Hinkley, but it's awesome to see the Port Adelaide Power fans dissing Kenny Hinkley now. Well, that's what I love.
It is. It's funny because I'm looking at a headline, because he just signed a 2-year extension, and I'm looking at a headline on Code Sports. It was just posted. It's 6:01 a.m. Melbourne time. I hope the sound doesn't come up here because it likes to do that. Hopefully it doesn't autoplay. Oh, good, it's off. Port Adelaide still believe Ken Hinkley is the right man for the job, despite a semifinal exit as the power coach deals with strong feedback heading into the offseason. Well, how much does he have to deal with? They just gave him a 2-year contract. I mean, he can just tell them to go piss off and go piss up a rope because he's got 2 more years in his pocket, and if he doesn't, they're going to pay him out some money for that. So if they don't like it, go get somebody else. I'll go sit on a beach. It's kind of like Hans Gruber said, sit on a beach making 10% or on my interest or whatever.
Yeah, there's some truth in it. Like, he hasn't got them over the line. And like I said, there was a couple of coaching moves I would have made. Powell Pepper in the middle, absolutely. But Charlie Dixon was the other one I left out. So that was 4 players underdone and injured. Now, that's not his fault, so you can't blame that on Ken.
You can't blame that on Kenny Hinkley. You're right. The injuries. But at this point in time, though, you only have so many healthy bodies, and you're going to try to put out the best 22 that you have there. And I saw something.
You can blame him for picking all of them. Absolutely. I mean, Marshall, he was terrible again in that first half. I gave him praise. He had a breakout year, but he just doesn't look like he's going hard enough at the ball sometimes. That's what I reckon.
Well, and I'm looking at I haven't watched the entire clip, but it was a conversation between Gerard Whateley and David King where King called Kenny Hinkley as just a good average coach.
That's not right. He's better than that.
Yeah. So, Caroline Wilson came to his defense there, but back to the GWS social media group, which it's been fun because they actually had somebody from Channel 7 who was doing like a news broadcast. Maybe it was somebody else that borrowed one of Channel 7's mics that worked for them, but was talking about how there was this. That the MCG, that there was a threat of an orange tsunami this week in Melbourne and that people should be careful and such. And they're just really playing it up. And it was interesting to watch the Collingwood supporters get so bent out of shape about the fact that this social media group is having fun with this. And they're trying to rally. Again, let's be honest. If I'm not mistaken, this club has fewer supporters, has fewer members than Gold Coast does. I think they have fewer a smaller membership than Gold Coast does. So they're trying anything that it's like, let's throw as much spaghetti as we can at the wall to see what sticks. So I saw somebody, and I want to give this guy credit here, and I'm going to call him out by name. If you're on Twitter, he doesn't have a lot of followers. I followed him yesterday or today, maybe, but it's @Scott_Reed90. And he said he called out these Collingwood supporters who were blasting the GWS social media group. And he said, you have to remember, they don't have the luxury of a century of generational support. They have to find creative ways to build interest and to take their moment while they can. It's good for the game. And I fucking agree with that wholeheartedly right there. It's absolutely good for the game. They're having fun with it. These are a bunch of young men. You're considered ancient when you're 35 years old or 32 years old playing this game. Let them have some fun. Lighten the fuck up, Collingwood. Go out and play the game. You very well might win. You got a minor premiership already, but Jesus Christ, just lighten the fuck up and let these people have some fun. They're back in the prelims when nobody gave them a shot in hell of doing anything this year, including me and probably including you.
Oh, I love it, mate. Love your passion. Now you see why Collingwood have hated you. Either love or hate them. But we'll do the Aussie slang in a minute. But you know what? This is. I think the Collingwood fans are a bit like this right now. They're a bit nervous in their butthole, mate. They're a bit nervous
they're
down
puckering
there.
A little bit.
Diarrhea through
nerves.
Nerves.
You know, that rant was just kind of building up inside of me there, and I just thought, have some fun with it. It's kind of I see the same thing sometimes at school where everybody wants everything to be so parochial and just straight, and it has to be this way, and sit here and do this, and line up, and you can't do this, you can't do this. And I'm thinking, just let them be friggin' kids. Come on, just lighten up. Let them be a kid. Let them have fun with what they're doing. There's a lot of pressure on what we're asking them to do. There's a hell of a lot of pressure in the world. Let them just relax and have some fun, and just go out and play the game. And it's the world's all messed up. I think you might be like me. I am hoping for a Giants-Lions all non-Victorian grand final. Wouldn't that be awesome? And just see the Melbourne people so upset. They'll boycott it. There'll still be a very good crowd there. Yeah.
I would love to see that, mate. Well, should we get onto the picks or what?
We should, yes. So let's start with, again, we're recording this on Wednesday evening around 7 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. So it's into Thursday morning, early in Melbourne. So we don't have the teams as of yet. I know that young Mr. Dacos is going to be back in the side, but he's not taken a whole lot of bumps here recently. He's coming back off a bit of a knee issue. And what are you thinking on Collingwood and GWS? Because I think I know where you're leaning on this.
Well, Collingwood are favoured by 10.5 points. I'm definitely taking the Giants to cover that on a smaller bet. I think they can even win. But as you'll see on my piece of paper, I have the Collingwood Magpies, a dotted circle around there saying that I will probably pick them depending on ins and outs. But no, I think Collingwood will probably get it done just. But I really hope it's a close game, and I hope the Giants get up over them. Nothing against my good mate Freemo, who was on your show a couple of years ago covering the Magpies. I do like their brand of football, but the last couple of weeks with the Maynard incident and so forth just shows the true colours of some of their feral type negative, we're the best, but there's a nickname for them, and there's a reason why they are called the Collywobbles, because you look back on the records and see how many grand finals they have been in and see how many they have won. So over the years, they wobble, mate. They're the Wobblies. Collywobblies, as Gabe calls them, but Collywobbles is their nickname. I hope it's a close game. Collywobbles just, I think, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. And, when they played back in round 9, they beat the Giants at the MCG by 65 points. They beat them by 11 goals, basically. And the Giants were going terribly at that time. Of course, so was Sydney at that point in time. And we saw both of them shoot up the ladder and both make finals.
What's your pick?
I'm going to go back to what you just got done saying about what GWS did to Port Adelaide, and I think there are some smaller players, and not Pendlebury, but there are some smaller players that are kind of in part of the. I'm really interested to see what some of these bigger bodies do against Dacos in the midfield, and I'm going with GWS in an upset. I just think, like I said, I think
you're right.
I think they're the Road Warriors. I told you, I last week when we spoke, I looked at their roster, their list to see who was it that looked the most like Mel Gibson, who looked like the Road Warrior, and I couldn't pick anybody that actually looked like him, but. Maybe we go with Adam Kingsley. We'll just say he's the road warrior, because if nothing else, he can, just kind of, when when the Pies are getting ready to kick for goal, he can just go out there like, who's the guy that in the big movies, the guy that has I don't watch the movies, the jewels on his arm and that sort of thing. What's Thanos? That he can go out and just like punch the ground and make the stadium shake, and the sticks will wobble and they'll miss. Kind of like a Dane Rampy climbing it, but from a distance.
Well, if GWS win, that means that you and I will draw level, because I got you by 2 on the first week of the finals, and you got me. You got me last week. You went 2-0. I went 1-1. So I'm 1 ahead of you. Yeah. So if Giants win, we will draw level in our picks money for the win in the finals.
Yep. And I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that the way that they're not taking themselves seriously, at least in the public view, which again, as you said, kind of has Collingwood maybe a little nervous. And I think you have to be nervous. You've had an extra week off. You're the team that's expected to be there. You're the team that's expected to play in your home ground in the grand final against a team that nobody thought, I think we would be hard pressed to find anybody other than maybe the most diehard Giant supporter who thought they were playing finals this year. I don't think many people did.
The whiner about traveling to Marvel Hardwick, he said recently he thinks they can go all the way. But this is the other thing, mate. This is the other thing a lot of people don't realize. Giants are on a momentum, great run. Their skills, they're used to playing every week. There's something about routine. They don't have many injuries. That's a great thing. Now, playing 2 games in 4 weeks is what the Collingwood will be doing. That can be detrimental, because you can lose that little bit of an edge with your skills and everything. So the momentum can work in their favor. That's why I think it's going to be a beauty of a game. I really do. Yeah.
The Giants have won 11 out of their last 13. They dropped games in rounds 21 and 22 against the Swans and against Port Adelaide. But they've won 4 in a row since then, and they won 7 in a row before they dropped those. And the game they'd lost prior to that was a single goal game to the Tigers, and they beat the Cats the week before that, which kept the Cats out of the finals. Oh well, I'm over it. But let's move on and talk about Brisbane and Carlton, because this is going to be, I think this is going to be an interesting game. And again, Brisbane's gone through the entire season without a blemish on their record at home at the Gabatoir, as you like to call it, which I think is a great name for it. But what are you thinking on this one?
No, I don't think it will be an interesting game. I'll be honest. Lions are favoured by 19.5. And the reason I say this is they're so hard to beat up there. And even though you picked Carlton and I picked Melbourne, let's be honest, Melbourne bloody well blew it with bad kicking for goal. Hey, you got the pick. You got the win. That's all that matters. But Melbourne blew that game. They should have won it. Bad kicking's bad football. Well, they kicked 9 goals, 17, I think. So Carlton are lucky to be there. I believe those top 4 teams were a lot better than the bottom 4 in the 8. That said, I might be totally wrong, but I will take the Lions to win and win by more than 19 points. And I hope I'm right, and I hope it's a Lions GWS grand final. I think it'll be Lions Collingwood, and that'll be a ripper of a game as well.
Right. Yeah, and that, I think you're right there. I am going with Brisbane to win this one as well. I just think at home, Carlton has certainly ascended a lot like the Giants have, because they scuffled in the middle of the season. A lot of people were writing them off, thinking, okay, they're not playing finals. They solidified themselves. I think they got to the number 5 spot on the ladder, to where they were maybe playing better than a couple of the sides that made the top 4 when the season ended. I would say you could argue they were playing better than Port Adelaide at the end of the season. But it is it's going to be a great matchup. I'm just really interested to see, is Mackay going to be back in? Because I know that he's kind of been a little dinged up. I don't know. I haven't heard whether he's been playing or not. But
better off without him.
Well, could be. You could be right on that. But it's just going to be a very interesting matchup, and I think it's going to be the Lions by a couple of goals. But the midfield battle I think is going to be phenomenal because these are two really, really good midfields. They're going to be clashing with one another. And I guess, whoever does a better job of getting the clearances and getting the ball forward is probably going to win it. And I just think it's going to be Brisbane that does that.
And what about, Danaher played well in the first final, but he can go missing as well. And Charlie Curnow has not had a very good final series yet to date. So that would be interesting. Who stands up, Curnow or Danaher? Anyway, we've got to get moving. I'm on a bit of a
or Hipwood. Yeah. Or Hipwood. So let's get into our 5 terms for the week. Okay. And the first one for this week is Ocker. Ocker. Ocker.
Ocker. That's just a nickname for an Aussie, isn't it?
Well, I hope.
Hang on.
I hope that's not just a general term.
Ocker. Bit of a it's a bit of a drongo type of feral type Aussie.
Kind of, yeah. They said a boorish or aggressive person. Yes, so I'll give you that one. Boorish or aggressive.
No, I don't deserve that one.
You don't deserve that one? I'm giving you that one.
You're generous tonight, mate.
You're on vacation, okay? You're on holiday. You had to get out of town, so people didn't see you crying about the Port game. So, so the second one here, chop and change. Yeah, I've heard of that. Chop and change. Chop and change. Mm-hmm.
No, shit, I've heard of it, but I can't. Chop and change. No, I've heard of it years ago. This is why I've been away for 25 years.
Yeah.
Chop and change. As soon as you say it, I reckon I'll know it.
It says to change one's opinion often and abruptly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I should have got that one.
Okay.
Should have got that one.
Now, I this just happens to be a coincidence that this one is here, and it's not meant to infer anything here. But the third one, not the full quid.
Who's not the full quid? I'm trying to think of an AFL footballer that's not the full quid. Oh mate. Back in the day, the guys that ran around like lunatics belting everyone. So not the full quitters. Yeah, you're a couple of pennies short of the dollar. You're not quite there.
Yeah, not bright intellectually. Yes, you got that one spot on. Yep. Okay. So one of us after Friday's game is going to be grinning like a shot fox.
Oh, a shot fox. Yeah, well, probably when you go fox hunting, because they do go after the sheep in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like a shot. Was it shot fox?
Yes, like shot, like bang.
Bang, yeah. Well, I suppose it's when they're just they must have been shot.
Remember, it said grinning like a shot fox.
So the fox has been shot. That's what you're saying, aren't you?
Right, but it's also grinning.
Yeah, so it's not dead.
No, maybe.
So it's grinning as if it survived and just been shot a little bit, or it's grinning as the person missed the shot.
Okay. I don't know if I can give you this grinning one. Go ahead. Is it very happy or smugly satisfied?
Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't really recognize the shot fox term. Okay.
And the last one.
No, I didn't get that one.
The last one. Ropeable. ROPEABLE. Ropeable.
You want to strangle someone's neck like they strangle the calves when you rope them.
Kind of. It's along those lines.
Come on, I must have got that one. No.
It's along those lines. It said very angry. Yeah, it said very angry.
Yeah,
yes. So like I said, it's along those lines. You want to
strangle them. You want to get that rope around him and strangle him. Yeah, I got that one. Come on, you gotta give me that one.
I'm giving you that one. So we got what? 1, 2, 3. We got 3 out of 5 this week.
Oh, I think I got 2, but if you give me 3, that's all right.
I'm giving you Ocker. Okay, I'm giving you that one there. Okay, I do not want to be an Ocker or a Seppo, quite frankly, either. So, and I guess, you know what? I think maybe about 15 minutes ago I was one when I went on my little rant there. So
no, it's good, mate. I loved your anger. I don't see it very often with you, the conservative school teacher. So that was good.
Yeah, you know what? When I break down this one down, I may actually put that as an edit that I put out with the episode when I put that out. I still have to record the opening and the closing yet, though. So, Myk, I know you got to go, man. Where can people find your work, sir?
Yeah, MykAussie.tv, Edmonton Cricket TV on Facebook and YouTube. And well, this week, Friday night, I'll be at the Elks game. So hopefully Gabe lets me go live at about 9:20 Mountain, which would be 8:20 Pacific, from inside the Elks game live. But that's what I'm normally on now, 8:20 Pacific or 11:20 Eastern on sportsgrid.com, SportsGrid on YouTube, SiriusXM channel 159.
Now, let me ask you a question here. Since Gabe has changed times that he's on, how has that impacted the girlfriend? Is she okay with you being on that late on Saturday or Friday nights? Has that put a kink in what you typically would be doing on a Friday night?
Hey, who's the boss? Eh? I'm not. It's an Aussie saying. You know what this saying is? No, this is under the thumb. There's an Aussie saying. You know what that is?
Oh, I know what it is.
Under the thumb is an Aussie.
I know what that is, and I know what goes inside of there too. Just a little. That's actually got some salt in it for hard.
Okay, well here jar. Under the thumb they call it whipped. So the boys up here call it whipped. I don't know what you call it, but it's short for.
Yes, I know. Yes,
you can edit this out.
No, I know what they know. Whip. Yes, I know what it means. Yes, we know what it means. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not under the thumb, mate. I'm not under the thumb, but I do have to respect her time.
Right. That's why I was saying. I said, is she okay with you being on that late at night? Has that prevented you from doing stuff on Fridays that you typically would have been doing?
There was time where I'll just say, Gabe, look, I can't. Like this Friday night, I'm going to the Elks game no matter what. So if I miss the show, I miss his show. And there'll be other Friday nights it might happen. But generally, we go across the road on Saturday nights to watch a band. So, no, I'll absolutely want to be on Gabe's show.
Now, are the Elks home this week?
Yeah, home against the BC Lions. They've had a couple of wins lately, so they're doing all right. Yeah.
Now, did they? And I guess I haven't followed it, but did they win a home game yet?
Yes, they've won 2. Actually, they've won 2. So it's awesome.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the British still had some forts in Canada the last time that Edmonton actually won a home football game. Yeah, that's been what 175 years ago or something like that since they won.
Oh mate, it was nearly 4 years. They lost a year with COVID, but it was 22 home losses in a row. No. It was absolutely disgraceful. But last week we beat those Watermelon Head Riders, Saskatchewan Riders, in their home city of Regina. So that was a great win, beating them out there in Regina.
Do they still call them the Rough Riders?
Yeah, the Rough Riders.
Okay.
They wear watermelon heads on their helmet. They wore watermelon helmet heads. So you've seen that one.
I've seen you wearing one. Yep. So last little bit of advice before you go there, sir.
Oh, mate, just be cool and don't be idiots like a lot of the Collingwood fans are and keyboard warriors, because it's all fun and games in the end. And in the end, it's just a game that we need to enjoy. Be passionate, but don't do stupid things. Don't fight in the crowd like at the Patriots where the guy sadly died.
Yes.
Just be cool. Don't fight. Drink, but be careful and just don't be idiots.
Yeah, and I applaud. I have to say on the podcast here, as a Cleveland Browns fan, I was devastated by the injury to Nick Chubb, and I don't know if you've seen the footage of it. If you have not, don't watch. It was horrific. His knee, instead of bending this way, it went this way. It went completely over. He's done for the year. It's like a Willis McGahee injury from back in 2002 in the Fiesta Bowl in the national championship game. But the Steelers fans, and again, I'm not a Steelers fan at all. I respect that organization. We've talked about how I hate the Ravens. The Steelers fans, as they were putting him on the cart and taking him off the field, were all, chanting his name because the replay folks made the mistake of putting that footage up on the big screen. So the crowd would not necessarily have seen that because they thought there was a fumble on the play, and they showed that imagery up on the screen, and the fans were just horrified by it, and they were all shouting his name. So Pittsburgh fans, I salute you. I hope we kick the shit out of you next time, though. But I do salute you about this one, though. Mick, have a fantastic week.
He's a very good player, Nick Chubb. He's a very good player. Sad to see that, but Browns and Steelers, I actually picked you guys, but they're the I dislike the most. I'll leave you on that night.
Well, here's the thing. Pittsburgh did not run a single play inside the 30-yard line, and they won because they scored 2 defensive touchdowns. Yep. I'll see you, Mick. Cheers, mate.
All right, good luck. Have a great weekend, man. Enjoy the footy. Really enjoy it.
Bye-bye.